never stop learning. I think education is very important, and I think that you should always be educating yourself and never stop improving, and even little improvements matter in whatever sphere of life, whether it be physical fitness or finance or spirituality or your mental health or your relationships. Always, try and be a little better than you were yesterday.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Walk to Wealth podcast. If you're tuning in on YouTube or any of the podcast directories, make sure to do yourself one teeny tiny little favor and make sure to give us a follow, because I don't want you to miss out on any of the amazing guests I got coming on this year. Without further ado, let's get right into this one. Ellery, for anyone who hasn't had the pleasure to meet you, to get to know you yet, brother, tell us your elevator pitch. Who are you and what do you do?
Hey, John, thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate the opportunity. Yeah, my name is Ellery Sears. I'm out of Cleveland, Ohio. I'm in the smart home security space, so everything connected with the home, security systems, HVAC locks. I help people to save time, money, and have peace of mind by integrating those devices into one system. I'm also known as the smart home professor, also known as the negative coach, so on the personal development side. So just integration, man. That's probably my key word. Just weaving those two things together. My smart home business is my bread and butter, and my personal development side is my passion. So kind of on two tracks, but that's me, man.
No, I love it, man, because that's what I'm doing here, because I got the whole AI thing popping off, and then I have the podcast, which has nothing to do with AI at all, but it's
Right.
like more so like the entrepreneurial, the journey that I wanted to track something down, so I'm right there with you, man. Like I always say AI fulfills the pockets, the podcast fulfills my purpose.
Right? I like that. I like that.
You gotta, sometimes you can always get further faster when you focus all in on one thing, but like, I don't want to let either of my babies die. You feel me? So I just got to figure it out how to keep both of them alive, right? I can't choose one over the other. And so for anyone who doesn't know, I actually haven't made an episode on this. I probably should make an episode, but I was able to compete in the Great American Speak Off. There's like 30,000 people that registered. Out of the 30,000, 6,000 auditioned. And from the 6,000, both Ellery and I got to be one of the top 125, and he actually went to the top 30, if I'm not mistaken. And so that's how me and him got to connect. We chopped it up. He was one of the dopest guys I got to meet. Very down-to-earth guy, humble killer. Like, you wouldn't have been able to tell. He wasn't poking your chest, trying to, flaunt and, be like, I'm the guy, like, doing his thing, killing it in business, and also super down-to-earth, which I was like, yo, bro, you got to get on the show. We got to chop it up. So I always like to start off here, man. Take us back in the time machine, man. What was little Ellery like growing up? Where did this journey all begin?
Man, growing up, probably pretty introverted, kind of stayed to myself. Not nearly, if I look back at my younger self and told him he'd be speaking on stages and doing all these things, he'd probably, shit himself. But I mean, always just laid back and yeah, man. I think I will say this, like, I did always have aspirations, right? I knew that I wanted to not just have the status quo. I didn't have a lot of clarity on what that looked like, obviously, but yeah, I think that is a core piece of my personality, just wanting to do and have more. So but yeah, man, just a regular kid, man. I played outside, I know you're a young man. Y'all know y'all don't play, y'all didn't play outside like that, but
no, my generation still did. My generation still did. We were outside.
Okay, no, we was outside, So I'm a millennial, so I've had the benefits of life, I have the perspective of life before and after the internet, right? So
yeah,
I think that helps, just connecting with people and also being familiar enough with the opportunities that the internet and technology brings. So, but yeah, man, normal dude, man. I won't say I came up like in poverty or nothing like that. Like, my mom, she took care of us well, and had a good upbringing. Grew up in church. I was a church musician, and just a lot of different journeys, man. So
yeah.
yeah.
On that church, no, it's funny. I grew up in church. I started going to church in third grade, and I had so I'm pretty tall. Like I'm not pretty tall. I'm decent height, bro. I'm like 5'11", bro.
Yeah,
It's
we
just
about
like
to.
but I had a late growth spurt, a very
Okay.
very late growth spurt. So I'm like 4'6" in middle school, 4'8" in middle school. Yo,
Right.
my church had me playing the trombone. Out of every instrument on the planet, my church thought for whatever reason it was gonna be a good idea to have me playing trombone. I don't know
I,
why. I could barely reach like the last, the last slide on the thing, man. But it was
I,
rough.
I ain't gonna lie. I've never ever. No, you know what? The drummer at my church was a professional trombone player. He would bring it every once in a while, but it wasn't like a every service type of thing with the
Yeah,
trombone. Not a foundational piece of the band. But that's dope, man.
yeah,
I picked up a trombone one time in high school because I was in band, and
yeah.
they needed trombone players. So my band director offered anybody who would try a new instrument and switch an automatic A in the class. All you had to do was take lessons with them and and try. So I'm like, shit, I take an easy A. I switch to trombone.
Yeah.
That is a hard instrument to play, bro. Just memorizing the slides and then having to fix your lips right. I didn't like it. So
Yeah, me either, man. I did not like it at all. And then having to reach, bro, that was like
yeah,
that was the worst part of it all, man. Having to
the
do
thing,
all that at the same time.
thing the same size as you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yo, yeah, 100%. That's just a
right,
weapon.
right.
Like you literally got a rocket launcher on your shoulder.
Exactly, exactly.
But I wanted to ask you. You mentioned too something like that. I still really haven't been able to explain for myself, but I had something in me as well that for whatever reason, and as I said, I wasn't entrepreneurial growing up at all either. Like I wasn't selling sneakers. I didn't have the lemonade stand, but I had that in me where like for whatever reason, like retiring at 65 just didn't add up for me. And I
Mm-hmm.
still, even to this day, I still can't really describe what it is. Now it's a lot more prevalent. It's like that's like a big burning fire that I got in me. But like even back then, before I knew what entrepreneurship was or business was, or even had any interest in that stuff, like I had something in me that was just like, I just want to retire at 40. Like
Right.
65 seems
Uh,
too long. I don't know
that's
why. I didn't know what I was
exactly.
gonna do. I didn't know. I knew I didn't want to go corporate, but I didn't know what path I was gonna be on. I just knew for
Mm-hmm.
whatever reason, like retiring at 65 didn't sound like the way for me. It sounded like there got to be something better out there. I don't know really what, but
Yeah.
like, do you have any idea as to where that fire desire kind of came from?
I think it's just like I think it's just like perspective, you know what I mean? It's like now like I'm 36 now and
Yeah,
I remember being younger and seeing like my parents in their 30s and then just seeing like people who are my age now and they just seem like way older and way more mature, and it's like 30
yeah,
like mid 30s just seem like so far away, like dang, that's old as hell. And then it's like now like now I'm in my late 30s and like 40s right there, and 40 still is like dang, like that's 40, you know what I'm saying? But 65 is just like really far away, and it just seems like that's just a long time to be doing things. I think
yeah,
I think I think you know because things are so much more fast paced now, that allows for a lot of opportunity to change. Like and you can change and do different things very quickly. You can pivot. Like if I don't want to do smart homes anymore, I can literally get on the internet and figure out and decide to do something else. Like right now, I don't have to go all the way to the library and pick up books. Like we have so much access to everything, and I think with that access comes awareness, and it's like, yo, I don't have to work till 65 because I can just figure something out that I don't have to
yeah,
do that, right? And then we have access to people who are doing that, right? And you have examples that you can follow, like, oh, so and so can do it. Like, there's kids on YouTube who are making millions of dollars playing with toys in front of a camera, right? So it's like if
yeah,
that kid can just get on his tablet and do a screen record and get all these streams and make all this money, like I'm sure I can figure out something at my very big age to make something happen where I'm not like a
yeah.
senior citizen still trying to figure it out. But shout out to the senior. It's no shade, obviously, you know what I mean. But I think that to answer your question, it's like I think it's just the exposure to all the opportunities and things that are available that more realistic.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it was like you gotta find a good job for a good company with benefits and with longevity, and then work there and get your 401k and then retire and have a wife and have kids and have a dog and live in the suburbs. And like that was like that's what they were exposed to. They watched
Yep.
watched a lot of TV. You have family sitcoms, and that's what was being presented. Now we have things like social media and the internet, and we can see all these different walks of life. Like, man, I don't need to go that way. I would prefer to go this way, And then
Yeah.
I think that plays a huge part in what we want to do.
100%. I think that one of the big things for me, I think that helped me out is like growing up inner city. Like you see a bunch of different people. Like we got people on the north side of town living in multi-million-dollar properties, coming to the same high school with people who grew up in the projects, and like
Right.
everyone in between. And so you like, what's one of the things like private school and all that stuff is great and all, but it's like you don't get a more like realistic view of life than going to inner city school. I feel like, because that's really like how life really is. You got people from all walks of life. Some people, bugging out, doing, on a path that may not lead them to prosperity, and then you got other people who are coming from nothing but wealth. And like everyone in between, you get to see all these different perspectives and viewpoints. And I think that kind of helped me out a lot, which just becoming open minded. As I said, it didn't really lead to any, I think, entrepreneurial for me, but it gave me a lot of perspective and wisdom, because I was able to be open minded enough to try to see things from their lens. I was always very argumentative.
Yeah.
Like I love argumentative essays back in middle school and in high school. They would do things like, what's the best, snack, pizza or ice cream or something like that, and it would be like, I'll go to whatever side had less people just so I could argue more. Right? Just, more arguments for me, bro. But like that helped me get a lot of perspective, and so like for you, I kind of to pivot a little bit. So you were in band. You said in high school. You said you were just a normal guy from your mom provided. Were you entrepreneurial at all growing up, or was that something that wasn't even out in your mind at all?
Uh, you know, I was smart. Like I scored really high on my college entrance exams, and I was able to get into college without any prerequisites. However, I was a direct admit into the College of Business, and you know, at the time, like nobody in my family was an entrepreneur. That
Yeah.
just wasn't the norm. So, like, I remember even um, when I remember having a conversation with my mom, which she brings up to this day, and she always like apologizes and regrets this conversation. But long story short, she was like, "Well, what are you gonna do with a business degree? Like, start a business?" Like, and it was like the way that question was asked, it's like, you're right. Like, why would I go to college? It was kind of similar to like a basket weaving degree. The way that the conversation went. I didn't finish school, but so I entered the workforce, and then I was just bouncing from job to job, and in between jobs, I was looking in the newspaper, and I would find different. I found jobs to like for sales. Like I sold Kirby vacuums for a couple of days, and that was trash door to door. But I guess I've always just really been open to opportunities for the end goal. Like, and it may not have necessarily been to be a businessman per se, but it would be, I want to make enough money to buy some J's, or I want to travel, or just pay my bills, or go out with my friends and hang out. So it was like these short term targets, and I knew what I wanted to get there as quickly as possible, as ethically as possible. So if there was an opportunity to do that, whether it be finding a job that was going to pay me enough money where my time exchange was worth it, or it was going to be sell some stuff and try and sell some things, and I can make this commission, on this dream they're selling me. So, one thing I'm willing to try, right? So just trying and trying and trying, and then I fell into this and been doing this for the last 14 years. So
That's fire, man. I feel like that's one of the things that I think Russell once said it one time. He was like, "You got to be a good steward of the ideas that God bless you with." And it's
That's
like
dope.
when I heard it, it resonated with me so much. It's like it's not about succeeding with the ideas; it's about taking action. It's like, here's the ball. The ball's in your court now. What you about to do? Show me something. Like bust a move, right? And it's
Exactly.
like I feel like a lot of people get past the ball, and it's like, oh my goodness, I don't know. And then like next thing you know, like 6 months later, it's like, yo, I dad had the idea to do that. I dad was gonna start that business, and then they never started it, and someone else did. Well, too late, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just like for me, similar to you. And I was trying anything. I'm speaking on Russell Brunson. Have you read Expert Secrets?
I have not.
Okay. So it's the second book that he wrote. It's a blue one, and in the book, I think like page 8 or something like that, page 7. Like in the book, it was like do a virtual summit. I was like, I have a podcast. I already know a bunch of speakers. Like, I could do a virtual summit. I could just go reach out to my past guests and say, hey, I'm doing a summit. Like, you want to hop on and do a little interview for it? Man, I closed the book. Man, I ain't even finished reading the book. I didn't go past to page 10. I closed the book and they didn't look at it for 3 months. I hosted my first virtual summit. That joint flopped. I got like 17 people registered for it. Man, it was awful. But I got
But
the idea, and as soon as I did it, like I read it, I took action. Right, I think I
yeah.
sent out the email that day. Like I typed it up and sent it out to everyone that I had in mind, and it flopped. And it was like, yeah, man, it was one of those things that was like embarrassing. But it's like,
Yeah.
man, that's like one of those things. I had to try it though. I had the idea. I can't let it go to waste.
Hey, version 1 is better than version none, you know? So
No, 100%, man,
yeah.
100%. So let me ask you then: how many things did you fail before or try, um, before you finally came to the home smart business that you got going on?
Countless, bro. Countless. Like if I remember before I got hired, so before I started my business, I got hired as a security alarm technician, and I was in between jobs. I was actually on unemployment, and my unemployment was running out. But I remember it was like tax season. It was around this time, actually. Shoot, I think it was March 10th will be 14 years. I believe it was like March 10th. Sometime in March in
Yeah.
2010, I got hired. So I remember I was doing my taxes and I had like 10 W-2s just from the previous year. Like just like dude, just doing jobs. Bro, like I did everything from food service to housekeeping to sales and just all over the place, man. Just trying to, make some money because I knew I just didn't want to. I couldn't just sit on my butt anymore. So I mean, countless times. Like, and then even there, like I started working there. I worked there for like 3-4 years, and ended up leaving from that company, and decided to start my own, and been failing my way forward ever since. So
Yeah.
failure is just comes with the territory, man. And I think it's just the way you frame failure. Like, I don't take L's. I learn lessons. So it's like
Hmm.
every time you just, well, I won't do that again, or
Yeah.
oh that worked. Let me try it again. And it's just like that constant refinement of the self, right? Like you just keep going and keep going. And I mean, as long as you're progressing forward, like I know a lot of people use the Earl Nightingale definition of success, but it's just so so just precise, right? And he says, the definition of success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Like, so as long as that you have a worthy ideal, which no one can tell you what a worthy ideal is for you. You have to decide that for yourself. And once you find something that's worthy enough and you start progressing towards it, it doesn't matter how many times you fail, because progression makes you successful. I didn't learn that until a few years ago, but I was like unconscious competent when it came to that. I just knew I
Yeah.
wasn't. At the end of the, like, even back to what you were saying about like retiring at 65. Like, I think I always had that. Like, at the end of the day, I can always go get a job and then retire at 65, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
let's see what this is hitting for.
Yeah, no, 100%. I
Yeah.
feel like having that that like almost like that what if mentality, like on or like what's the worst that could go wrong, like what if I do try this, like let me just give it a shot, like that's what I'm gonna call it, the let me give it a shot mentality, like
Yeah.
get trying things out never hurt nobody, right? It's just
Right.
like,
Yeah, I try it.
and I think a lot of times, I think a lot of people in the like the entrepreneurship space, the burn the bridges approach is great when you plan behind it. Right. It's not just like burn the bridges. Yes, but
Right.
also wait. like like
Yeah.
you don't have to wait until you're in a good position to burn the bridges, but at least have it planned out before you go
Mm,
burn the bridges.
for
Like
sure.
don't just, go burn the bridges and have no idea about anything that you want to do. That's not what
Yeah.
I think people get misinterpreted. It's like
Yeah.
have an idea, and when you have the idea, shoot. Like
Yeah.
see where it takes you. Right?
But don't go
When
on
you
your
have
job today and like,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
don't.
yeah, 100%. Now, I want to ask you a question too. Speaking about jobs too, bro. Because you said you were at the last job for like 4 years, 3, 4 years before you finally quit and went all in on your business.
I
What
didn't
was
quit.
that
I was
like?
terminated.
Okay,
but but it was a wrongful termination. I actually won a
okay,
loss. I won a lawsuit against them, and that kind of helped, start my business too. But that I digress because I'm not even allowed to really talk about that. It's like terms of the
yeah,
settlement. So, but long story short, I did. I was a top producer there, man. That's where I learned all
yeah,
my skills, learned how to sell, and got a lot of my customer service training and stuff like that. Like I'm extremely grateful for that
yeah,
experience, and I'm grateful that I got fired because if I didn't, I would probably still be working there, about to retire at 65, right? So it's like,
yeah,
but when I did get terminated, it was devastating because I loved that job. I finally found something that I liked, and I finally had a year where I only had one W-2, like multiple
yeah,
times. So it's like I felt comfortable and stable. So when that got taken away from me, it was pretty devastating. And then at the time, like, I had a kid, and so it was more than just me that I had to worry about and take into consideration. So that was like a huge, that was like a pivotal moment for me in my journey. But
yeah.
but yeah, no, but go ahead. I'm sorry to cut you off, but yeah, I was
No, no,
terminated.
no
I didn't
worries.
quit. Yeah.
So let me ask you, right? So, right there, you had two options, right? You could have either sulked and complained and try to find another job, or you was like, why not? Let me start something up on my own and see where that takes me. And
hmm
like during that time, one, what kind of made you go towards the business route? And then
Then
two, like what was it like in that beginning stages of like getting it off the ground?
vengeance, man. Like I said, it was I felt I was wrongfully terminated, and I loved the job, and I was really good at the job. So it's like, oh, y'all gonna let me? First of all, it made me realize that I wasn't, even though I felt like, well, the numbers didn't lie. Like I was a top performer. Like they had KPIs and everything. I was always at the top, but it made me realize even with that high level of performance, that at any day the employer is in control and they can let you go.
Mhm.
So, but but in the way that I was let go, it just pissed me off so bad that it's like, all right, I'm gonna start a company and I'm gonna compete against these guys. And it was out of pure vengeance and revenge. Like, okay, I'm about to go out here and I'm gonna build something up, and they're gonna be sorry, that they ever let me go, right? So,
Yeah.
that was a good, powerful driver. And then, like I said, I didn't finish school. Like I did one semester, I think a semester and a half before I left school, and so everything that I remember, I didn't even have a desk. Like we had an extra bedroom that I used as an office. Like my computer, I had the big desktop computer, and I had my
Yeah.
monitor, and it was on the floor, and I was sitting on a pillow, and I had like notebook and Google University, bro. Like, how do you start a business in Ohio? Okay,
Yeah.
how do you file taxes? How do you hire people? And it was just, a lot of self study, and it took and a lot of mistakes too. There was things that I
Yeah.
was doing that I didn't have to do. Um, there was things that I should have did that I didn't do, but it was literally taking this idea out of my head and bringing it into fruition. Uh, one piece at a time, you know. So
Yeah. Now, I mean, I love that you brought that up. And he was like, you're transparent about it. I feel like a lot of times, like, people try to make it seem like you have to have this, like, super, like, morally just reason. Like, I want to save I want to impact 1 million lives.
mm-hmm.
Right. And it sounds great. Not saying that's a bad reason, but like, yeah, it's a great reason. But it's like also like, nah, I'm going to show them. Right. I'm going to show them. Like, they made
Mm-hmm.
the wrong decision. And like, Alex Hormozy talks about it, man. He says the rule number one to entrepreneurship is using what you got.
Yeah.
And most people, in most cases, got a whole lot of pain in one way,
Mm-hmm.
shape, form, or another. Right? A whole bunch of negative emotions bottled up, and maybe trauma, maybe anger, maybe resentment, and maybe hatred, maybe whatever it may be. But it's like, rule number one, use what you got. And so it's like, if at that moment it was vengeance, like for me, like business, it's just like I just hated the idea of going to corporate, man. I hated that. I hate the idea of working for somebody. That's like even when so I tried to do an agency for my core for my stop and stare media business. That was the first like idea because back when ClickFunnels was gonna launch ClickFunnels 2.0, I was on that
Mm-hmm.
first challenge that they did when they were gonna launch it live, and then I got my ClickFunnels account. Now at that time, I was like, man, I'm fed up over real estate. I don't want to sell houses anymore. Like, and I was already teaching social media classes. And so I was like,
Mm-hmm.
all right, screw that. I'm gonna take this momentum I got with the social media classes, screw real estate. I'm gonna start an agency, teach the classes for free, and then get agency one-on-one clients. After my first client, I was like, bro, this is pretty much still working for somebody. Like,
Right.
this is everything I try to run away from just to go right back into it. I was like, heck no, scrap that
Right.
idea up. I hated it,
Mm-hmm.
man. I hated it, and that's what kind of like spark led to what I got going on now. But it's like,
Mm-hmm.
man, like sometimes it's like that negativity is like fuels you a lot more than like the grandiose idea because sometimes it's a little fluffy. It can get a little fluffy sometimes, right?
For
It doesn't
sure.
have
For
any
sure.
actually tangible meat to it. And so and even with like football too, one of the other like motivating factors that I think people knock, that I hate that people knock, is competition.
Oh
Like
yeah.
when I started hearing that people are like they're taking away scoring from like kids games,
That's
I was like,
crazy.
what, bro?
What's the
Nah, because
point?
word to me, it's like back when I played Xbox, like I'm gonna let you have it. If I cooked you that day in gym, you are not gonna hear the end of it. Like
Right.
I'm
You
letting you know
gotta.
how many points I had, how many assists I had, how many everything I had. I'm telling you my whole entire stat line and why I'm better than you for the entire
Yeah.
day until like we play the next game.
You
And I
gotta
think
have some stats,
competition,
man.
yeah, you got
Gotta
to,
have.
man. I think like
Yeah.
competition just drives so much like improvement and innovation when you have like no ill intent behind it. Like
Yeah.
some of that stuff, it's like people like villainize competition almost in a way. They antagonize it. It's like, bro, like competition is amazing. Like everything I've done, like I remember football practice. We would go in the we would go in the gym sometimes during practice to everyone lift. And like when it was max prep, like max days, and everyone had to hit their their new PRs and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
The energy, the fire, like you go on there and it's like, yeah. I mean, in high school, I think my max for bench was like 205. I think it was the highest I ever
Okay.
did back in high school. I was never good at like deadlifting or anything like
Yeah.
that. Squats, so I had pretty strong legs, and like bench was
Mm-hmm.
like my go-to though. And so I
Right.
just remember like, yo, whenever PR, bench day came out or any type of max, like that fire. It's like, nah, I'm about to. You only did 195. I watch this,
Uh,
bro. I'm about to hit.
right.
Yo, add another plate on there, bro. And
Right.
everyone's like, yelling and
Yeah.
screaming. It's like
Yeah.
that fueled me up so much. And like, so like when people try to knock using negativity as a fuel, it's like, man, that's like for me, it doesn't really make sense because if it's motivating you to do something good, it may not be the best fuel for longevity, but in the moment, as I said, use what you got type of thing.
For sure. And it's like, I mean, and it's healthy competition, right? Like, because even though you guys were competing in that room, you guys were still on the same team, right? And it's like even in the like in my space, like I go to industry events, and there's other people who technically are my competitors, right? But it's just that perspective, right? Yeah, we all want to get accounts, but it's like, first of all, it's having the awareness that there's enough accounts out here for everybody in this industry to eat, right? So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
even in Cleveland, like I know probably 4 or 5 people who do the exact same thing as I do. They have their own companies. They may do it in a different way, but we always run into each other, and we rub elbows, and we iron sharpens iron, right? And it's like, I've never crossed paths with them and was fighting over one customer with them, right? And we have good relationships, right? But if my dude tells me, like, hey, what you got going on? And he's like, I just did a $10,000 camera job. I'm like, oh, let me go out here and give me a 10, give me a 15, so it's exactly that same analogy, like with the football team. Like, you need to have a source of inspiration, whether that's your positive ambitions or it's that negative drive. And it's like, we call it negative, but that's kind of like the wrong word for it. It's not good or bad. It just is. And we have to put, we have to judge that emotion or that thought, on what it is. Is it good or is it bad that I hated my previous employer? It was enough to drive me to start knocking doors, right? No, that was a good resentment, for me, because I was able to use that as a catalyst to move forward. So I think a good thing for people to be aware of is, like, don't it's authenticity, right? And transparency, right? And being authentic with how you truly feel, and use what you got, right? I don't want to save the world. I'm pissed off, and I'm pissed off, but I'm so pissed off that I'm going to go and give an immense and excellent amount of customer service that this client chooses me over my competitor, right? So yeah, even though the driving force behind that may have a negative connotation, it's yielding such a positive result that, is it right or wrong? It is what it is. Like, they won't know that. Like, I won't tell them that I'm here because I hate my old job, right? But that's what got me out of bed, and I still remember the first door I knocked. So that's kind of deep, man. This is good.
No, definitely 100%, bro. It's like, you got me thinking. Have you ever heard of, like, the I love philosophy.
Me too.
I'm a deep thinker, man. So, like, do you know the story of the maybe story, with the farmer and his son, and the horses?
I have heard it, but remind me though, and remind the listeners, because I remember once you said, but yeah, it is good though. But I can't think of it right now. Yeah,
because you were talking about assigning meaning to things. Like, what is one of the things that I always think about, like, different, like, little tangent before I bring it back. I always think about, it's like, in a world where no religion, no morals, no governance, what is actually good and bad? And it's like a frame of mind, because we all believe what we believe. Right, so I'm not saying that there isn't good stuff and isn't bad stuff. I believe that there's certain things that are good and certain things that are bad. But I also know that's because of my belief system, right? But, like, so sometimes I take myself out of frame and be like, all right, in a world with none of this, what's truly to say? What is there even a good and bad if you take everything out of it? And the answer is nah.
I think it is, but it's like way you zoom out, right? And it's like, as long as you are not, this is my opinion, as long as you're not violating the laws of the universe or violating the rights of others, then it's fair game. You know what I mean? So yeah, there are things that will violate the rights of others, like, messing with little kids and killing and stealing, stuff like that. That's clearly, definitively wrong. You know what I'm saying? So, but outside of that, if I was just having a conversation with somebody the other day, like, if you choose with your allotted time here on this planet to be a bum, not even bum is probably a bad word, but if you choose to not do the things that, say, a Grant Cardone is doing, or so, whatever you choose to do within your allotted time here is your prerogative, as long as you not violating the laws of the universe and you not hurting nobody else. Hell, if you want to sit back and drink and smoke weed all day, and that's how you want to spend your time till you die, more power to you. Just don't do nothing to affect other people during during those episodes, right? So,
Yeah.
but outside of that, hey, we all here trying to figure it out together, man. You know what it?
Yeah.
Well, who's right and who's wrong? And you know, nobody can tell you what's right for you for your life. You know, there will never be another person exactly like you with your exact makeup and your exact perspective and your experiences and everything that's made you who you are today to this point. So no one can advise you on what's right and wrong for you to move forward and what you should and should not be doing in your life, because they don't have your 100% perspective. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They don't know the deepest thoughts in the depths of your soul, you know, that
Yeah.
nobody knows about, right? That may have came from, you know, maybe you went to a carnival or something as a kid and tripped over a rock, and maybe that's something that's like, you know, and that's just a weird example, but you get what I'm saying, though. There are like little experiences that people that, you know, may be insignificant, that we might not even be consciously aware of, that are making up our whole perspective on life, and it's making us to choose certain things. So no, you know, nobody can really tell you what's right and wrong, you know, for you. So yeah, that's
No,
good, man.
I agree, bro. There's one thing I came to the realization to like last year. Like the truth with life can only be found on the other side of life. So in order for
Mm-hmm.
one to gain the truth, one must then give up their life. And so
Mm,
it's just like you ask someone why enough time, you realize no one really knows anything about anything. Like
exactly.
it's just like knowing that it's just, all this stuff is just to help me keep an open mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, like Socrates says, I know that I do not know, right? And like
And
to spin it back to what we were talking about earlier with the man and the sun and whatever and the horses,
mm,
pretty much what happened was he had like a man, a farmer, he had a son, and there was two horses in his farm, and one day the fence broke down and the horses run free. Right, everyone from the village comes like, "Damn, that must suck, bro. You just lost your horses. That's
right.
horrible." Oh, grandpa's like, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And then boom, next thing you know, the horses come back with a whole like with a herd of horses. They all come back, a bunch of wild horses, plus the two horses that ran away. Everyone from the village comes around like, yo, like, oh my goodness, that's amazing. That's a blessing. And grandpa come back like, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the next thing you know, son's taking care of one of the wild horses. I think he ends up breaking like his leg or his arm or something like that.
Yeah.
Everyone from the village
Right.
come back around like, damn, bro, that must suck. Like, I know you're tight. Like, grandpa said, maybe. And then
Mm-hmm.
the last day, I think they were going to war or something like that. And people from the kingdom came and was like, oh, we're going to draft everyone to go to war that's able bodied and healthy. Son injured, can't go to war.
Yeah.
Everyone like, oh my goodness, that's great. Your son didn't go to war. You must be so lucky. And grandpa said,
Mm-hmm.
maybe. And it's
Right.
just like, the story, I love it because it's like, it just goes to show like we assign meaning to everything. And so
Exactly.
it's like the only reason things make us feel a certain type of way is because we assign that meaning to whatever experience it was that triggered whatever we were feeling. And so
Exactly.
if when someone bumps you, like Layla Hermosi, she would mention something like, um, someone called her like skinny, but like they said it in like a negative tone,
Mm-hmm.
like someone else like, oh, do you even eat type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, but she just laughed. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I'm skinny, like, and just like the meaning she assigned into that, even though that guy was like trying to like actually like
Yeah.
disrespectful, right?
Mm-hmm.
Disrespect her, and the meaning she assigned to that was a joke. It was funny. It was
Yeah.
comical, right?
Right.
And it's just like it's a lot easier said than done, right?
Oh yeah.
A whole lot easier said than done. So I don't want anyone listening like, oh, these guys are some philosopher guys. They think they got it all. Nah, like
Nah.
we still human too, man. Just because it sounds good doesn't mean it's easy, right? It's just
No,
like, but
it's
trying to be
simple, but
aware
it's
of it.
not easy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%, man, 100%.
Uh,
Trying to be aware of like all of it, and like for me, it's like another good one too. It's like whenever something happens to you that gets you annoyed, imagine this was the thousandth time it happened. Like, imagine
mhm.
this is like a daily occurrence. Something that, like for example, traffic. It's like, oh my goodness, I hit traffic again. But what if you had traffic every day for the rest of your life? Well, it
Right.
would just be the norm,
It just be the
and
normal.
it wouldn't be affected. You wouldn't be affected at all. So it's like whenever you get into certain situations, just like try to imagine like well, how would you feel if this was the 10,000th time that it happened, right? This would just always
Mm-hmm.
happen. You probably wouldn't feel as like,
Affected. Yeah.
affected. Yeah, you wouldn't be so high energy about it. It'd be like, oh, I expected that.
Mm-hmm.
Let
Yeah.
me continue about my business.
Right. Right. That's literally lesson one in the course that I created, man. It's expectation, and
Yeah.
when you just expect things, it's like you can prepare for them, and you don't have to be as as affected by it, to an extreme level, right? It's like, oh,
Hmm.
yeah, I'm feeling this way, and I expect it to feel this way, and it is what it is. So let me just carry on, right? So,
Yeah.
but it doesn't throw off my whole day. Like, oh man, somebody didn't buy from me, so I'm just gonna throw the whole business away, or I'm not gonna, it's never that extreme. It's like, whoop, on to the next one, on to
Yeah.
the next event or experience. So,
I think like a lot of disappointment comes from unmet expectations, and like one of my favorite laws is the law of detachment, right?
okay.
And just detaching yourself from whatever the outcome is. Like you did your best part, you did the best that you can do. Detach yourself from whatever outcome, right? And like
Mm-hmm.
how the people, and it's like in everything, like the people who need whatever they, the thing is the least, always
Mm-hmm.
get it the most when it comes to money.
Exactly.
The people who don't have, the people, all them billionaires don't need any more money, they just keep on making more money, bro. Like, and the same thing with for example, like the dudes, like the jocks in all the movies, right? All the
Mm.
jocks, they got all the girls. Why? They don't care.
They don't
It's
care.
like they just do there's they do, and that may not be like the most ethical, you get the picture, right? It's like
Yeah.
when you have so much attachment to whatever the outcome is, the more attachment you have, the worse you're gonna feel if things don't go right. Like full transparency moment, like for my launch in January, man, I was trying to run up some numbers, like crazy numbers, man. I was trying to, at least crazy for me, I was trying to hit 100 in a day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think my total launch did like 17, like
Oh,
17.5, I think, which is not a bad launch, but I
yeah.
wanted to hit 100. And
Right.
so like day one, no one bought. Everyone bought from the email sequence.
Mm-hmm.
But like day one, when no one bought on the live call, when I pitched, like the sucker punch in my stomach, like I'm not gonna lie, I low key felt depressed for like a day and a half. Like
Right.
that was because I was so attached to that outcome. Like I was gonna use that money to
Mm-hmm.
help pay off debt, like to help get me right, get me back, save my some money up, so I could be in a good position, where it's
Mm-hmm.
like I can really just start being free and like
Yeah.
really play without having, because like you come at things from a different mindset. Even if you have an abundance mindset, like abundance mindset don't pay bills. And so it's like
Exactly.
when like there's a part of you, like you have to be optimistic and think like, okay, like this is gonna work and be confident that's gonna work. But it's also like, man, this better work, because like if this don't work out, you feel me? If this don't work out, man, I don't know how much longer I can keep this going, man.
Yeah.
That's just like I was banking on this to make it like to be my like the ticket out, and like yo, I can't lie. That Monday, that Tuesday, I was sick to my stomach. I didn't like that was probably like the least of a man I ever felt like in a while, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like that
Mm-hmm.
joint sucked, but I was so attached to the outcome. And
Yeah.
it's just like and that's just a learning lesson, right? And I've been knowing about the law of attachment way before
Right.
that launch. But it's like, as I said, like we said earlier, man, it's a lot
Yeah.
easier said than done. Just because it's
For
simple
sure.
doesn't mean it ain't easy, man. Doesn't mean it's
Yeah,
easy, man.
man.
And
Yeah.
sorry, but you mentioned too something about your course. And we were talking about it offline a little bit. I think it's a perfect segue, man. Like we've been chopping time, like literally vanished,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yo,
Yeah. I was
time
looking up there. I was
disappeared.
like, yeah.
I'm
We about
like,
to do
damn,
this
time.
again, bro.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
100%, bro,
Yeah.
100%. Definitely got to get you back on. But where can we connect with you, man? Where can we find you at? What you got cooking up for us so that we can get more of what you got going on?
You know, best way to connect with me is I'm probably most active on Instagram, so it's just at Ellery Sears, ELLERYSEARS. Connect with me on there. If you want to check out my negative empowerment blueprint, that's the course I created around really. I mean, it's kind of sweet the way this conversation went, because we really were just touching on all of that, man. But yeah, check that out. It's thenegativecoach.com. There's going to be two options on there, one for one-on-one coaching with me. But if you scroll down, You could take the course. It's a 6 video course, short. You can probably do it in one sitting, and it's free. So that's just something like you said. One fills the pockets, one fills the heart, right? Or fills the purpose, right? So that's really, just an organized, uh, my organized process of this. So yeah,
no.
I mean, and I genuinely think it will help, just the average person, right, who is challenged with one, negative thinking, but two, oversaturation of people pushing the positive mindset as the end all be all to doing anything, right? You do need to have a positive mindset. You do need to have clarity with what you want to do, but you can use other things as drivers to push you there, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, and it's actually very useful if you do it the right way. So yeah, check it out, man, and give me some feedback. Hit me on IG, and yeah, let's work.
Amazing. Now, Ellery, now I'm curious, man, to see what you got coming, what you're going to answer with. But now it's time for the famous 5 questions. Same 5 questions we ask every single guest that hops on. And I'm curious to see what you're going to say to these questions. Rapid fire round, man. So I'm curious to hear what you're going to come up with. So question number 1 is, what is the most impactful lesson you've learned in life?
Whew. The most impactful lesson that I learned in life would have to be, oh man, I think it would have to be, never stop learning. I think education is very important, and I think that you should always be educating yourself in some regards, or maybe even not education, but never stop improving, and even little improvements matter in whatever sphere of life, whether it be physical fitness or finance or spirituality or your mental health or your relationships. Always, try and be a little better than you were yesterday, today. Yeah, that'd probably be it for me.
What is the most admirable trait a person can have?
Persistence. Persistence. Um, yeah, I'll leave it at that.
If you had to change someone's life, but you only had one book to give them, which book would you recommend?
U Squared by Price Pritchett.
Okay. What is the legacy that you're working on leaving behind?
I would like to just be a pioneer in the personal development space and be someone that people look to as authentic and not just saying pretty words. You know what I mean? That, like, just, this is the real. I've been there, I've done that, and this is what I've learned from that experience, and I've been where you're at, and I've listened to the things that you've listened to. I've read what you've read for the most part, and I'm aware of what's out there, but this is what worked for me. And you don't have to have it all together to do anything. Honestly, everything that you've done, where you're at right now has nothing to do with where you can go. What you're experiencing right now is just the results of what you've done up until this point, and you can literally pivot. Like right now, don't burn the bridge right away, but like we said, but you can. It starts with that decision, and once you make that decision that this is what I'm gonna do, then let everything else fall in place. And you can see that end game, but also see the short term goals. It might be you just need to make enough money to pay the light bill or to eat, right? And use that as a fuel. Like, yeah, ultimately you do want to make multiple millions of dollars if you do, right? But right now you need to eat. So how can you eat? Right now, all right, what can you do in this very moment to push you towards that goal? So I think that that, and just hopefully my daughters, absorb this. That's why I love doing stuff like this, podcasts and writing books and courses, because it's like immortality, right? It's always it's on the internet, it's out there. So when they get a little older and start Googling dad, they see some stuff and like, oh yeah,
yep.
Daddy knew what he was talking about. Some gems. So but yeah, that's it.
You kind of answered the next question, but I'll still ask it anyways. For anyone that wants to embark on their walk to wealth today, what is the first step you recommend they take?
Make a decision. Yeah, you're right. I did answer. Yeah, you got to you have to make that decision, and you have to have clarity around that decision. It shouldn't be vague. It should be crystal clear on what it is that you want. And it doesn't have to be like super enormous or magnificent. Like, it could be that you just want to take a vacation, or you just want to move into a new place, or it could be that you just want to give your kids a good, like, it can be smaller things. Because what happens is, I'm going on a tangent, I know we got to end, but what happens is, because we're progressive beings, like that's the way God designed us to be. So it's very natural that once you hit a goal, that it's like you said, you start to become aware, like, oh, what's next? Oh, got me some food, I'm full, what can I do now? Maybe I can get some food for tomorrow, right? Or maybe maybe I can feed somebody else. So it's like we don't know how much potential we have, and the only way you can explore that potential is to keep improving and keep getting better. You know what I mean? Once you hit that 205 on the bench, you're like, shit, if I eat enough protein and work this out, I might be able to hit that 220. You know what I mean? And it just keeps going, because you don't know. That's one thing that is 100% unanimous. Like, nobody, we don't know how much we can do. And where you're at is like the starting point. Man, the other book I got to give him another book. It's The Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard, man. And he said he is like just a wordsmith, but he said, like, I don't even want to misquote it. It was so good, but basically he said, every destiny is the starting point of a new destiny. So as you hit your destiny, and it's really goals, right? Once you hit that goal, that's the starting point of the new destiny. And it's just progression, man. And so yeah, that would be that. I'll leave them with that.
That's fine, man. I'm glad we were able to connect that. I feel like God connects people for a reason. I'm glad we were able to connect, man. I'm glad we were able to stay in touch. I'm looking forward to catching up with you at GrowthCon, man. I'm looking forward to just collabing with you more this year, man. And it's only up from here.
Yeah, for sure. Whose turn is it in chess, bro? Let me check. Is it my turn?
For all the listeners right now, in our next episode, I'll let you know who wins between me and Ellery in our very competitive chess match that we got going on. But that's it for this episode. Make sure to give us a follow, and I'll see you in the next one.
Thanks, John.